Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in, right? All right. I want to rage out about affirmative action for a little bit, right? So let's put the obvious on the table. We know that affirmative action was instituted to right the wrongs caused by slavery and Jim Crow and redlining and um, the exclusion of ADOS, FBA in America, right? Huh. But my apologies, y'all. So we understand what affirmative action was supposed to be for, right? Particularly righting the wrongs done to black men, but you know, white women got their hands on it, and white women and black women pretty much kicked black men off of affirmative action. So the things Mr. Z is going to be saying is not about affirmative action exactly. It's the sentiments behind why so many are anti-affirmative action. We're not talking about so many in the black community. We're not talking about black men in particular. We're speaking about non-black people, non-black men in particular, right? So the Asian community in cahoots with white racists, so anti-black Asians and anti-black white folks, trying to shut the door in black people's face. This is the sentiment behind it, right? You can't fix discrimination with discrimination. Actually, yes, you can. But okay, all right, all right, all right, all right. Um, so there's studies already of how this will benefit the East Asian community. Well, the Asian community. I don't know why I keep on saying East Asian. The Asian community, and it won't. It's like 3,000 seats out of 120,000 type seats, right? Like it's not. It's really not, right? So, um, but so Ed Blum, if I'm not mistaken, Ed Blum, which is the white guy behind the scenes, right? Chris Rock told y'all, you follow the money, you end up, you end up with being in front of a old white man, right? I said Chris Rock. Chris Tucker told y'all that in what Rush Hour 2, Rush Hour 1 or Rush Hour 2, I want to say. So we follow the money, and it ends up at Ed Blum, who is one of these kind of old, kind of intellectual white racist guys, um, who hides his racism, his anti-blackness, particularly behind, wanting fairness, and so he was anti-affirmative action from the jump. He just fought. He was the one of the guys that was pushing the white woman from a few years ago that was going at which school was it? And since she didn't get in because of affirmative action, and that case was kind of thrown out, he was behind her also, right? So when that didn't pan out, then of course you use your next tool, which is the East Asian community, and obviously enough East Asians were desirous, right? So instead of being the cowards that they are, instead of going at legacy admissions, they go after affirmative action, which, by the way, isn't benefiting black people the way everyone thinks it is, especially not black men. But that's neither here nor there. Fine. So now affirmative action effectively has been repealed because if it doesn't apply to Harvard, and I think was it North Carolina, then it just doesn't apply. It's gonna slowly trickle down to other things, and that's it. That's the end of affirmative action. Okay, cool. And we got to be honest, like the elite black people and the black immigrants were pretty much hoarding the little bit that was going to go to black people, or that was going to black people anyway. It long time ago, with the Bucky decision, stopped being about doing right by black Americans, who continuously and are continuing to be done wrong by the state, by the overall society, and et cetera, et cetera. So the sentiment behind this, right? So I see some black people in the comments of different news segments saying, I got a master's degree and I worked hard to get where I am, and I'm anti-affirmative action also. And I'm like, you don't really you don't get it. You don't get it. You don't get it. You actually think that this is about merit. Oh boy. You actually think this is about a meritocracy. Wow. No, no, not at all. Right? No, not at all. America has never been a meritocracy. Like never. Like let me say it again. Never. Right? Shout out to all of you black immigrants and children of black immigrants and grandchildren of black immigrants who think this is a meritocracy. Meanwhile, Silicon Valley said you don't really have to have a degree to be over here with us in the STEM field. You know what that means? The Asians were outdoing the white dudes over there, and they said, "Oh, okay, we want you in middle management positions, but you're not really supposed to be the head of anything. We're gonna have a few figureheads, obviously, like the guy at Google and some of the other South Asians that we see, that are the face of certain big tech firms. But yeah, you're not actually supposed to be empowered. So let's take away this needing a college degree and needing all of this certifications. No, just be white and be connected, and we'll fix everything from there, right? Yeah. So yeah, I'm raging out a little bit about that because once again, it's not about the actual and the actually affirmative action being repealed. It's the reasons why, right? It's the people celebrating, right? And it overall shows the temperature of this society concerning black folks, particularly ADOS. That's what I have to stress. That's what this is really about. Even though much of the polling shows that people around the country, that includes white people, are still somewhat for affirmative action if it's one of the things that is factored in, not the thing, but one of the things. But yet we still have a large enough minority of people and a powerful and influential enough minority of people that are anti-affirmative action that we ended up here. Now, what does that mean for black people over the next couple decades? I don't think it looks good, because I think it speaks to the, once again, the temperature and the overall environment that black people find themselves in. Once again, it's not anti-blackness coming from just white folks anymore and some indigenous folks. Now it's anti-blackness coming from everyone, including some black people, right? Now, once again, we already know they're going to couch it as everything but anti-blackness, but it's anti-blackness, right? So I just wanted to rage out about that a little bit. Now, on to the main event. Miss May showing up on Dr. Thunder's video, right? Dr. Thunder's stream, excuse me. So I listened to it after I spoke to Dr. Thunder and BGS. Go check that out. Dr. Thunder's most recent stream earlier today. Shout out to Dr. Thunder. Yeah. So Miss May just doubled down. She just doubled down. That's all. She tried to clarify, and she just ended up. Something you find about Miss May is she's very classist, right? Not just class conscious, not good enough. It's not just class conscious, it's classist, right? I caught that when she was speaking to BGS, but she kind of doubled down on it, right? Even though Dr. Thunder and BGS, both in their own ways, were saying, yeah, it doesn't matter the class of the black man, he's still experiencing pretty much the same thing. So what are you talking about, right? Like you could keep on saying, oh, this is like some, and she was essentially trying to say this is some underworld, underbelly. And I'm glad that Dr. Thunder caught that and got her to try to explain it, where she once again doubled down on what she was saying, even though she was trying to clarify. Very classist, but it's very interesting, her take on these things, right? Trying to make it seem as if this is kind of some underbelly thing that, you know, ghetto hood black people experience, excuse me. This is not something, you know, your middle of the road or more of your black elite go through, right? And like, that's not true, number one. Number two, BGS and Dr. Thunder were pretty much telling her that's not true. But she couldn't hear it because, once again, in her mind is this idea that this is like this underworld, this like I didn't experience this, I didn't see this growing up. This is not something that I know I know it happens, but it doesn't really happen now, does it? It doesn't happen to most of you black men, or not even a significant minority of you black men. This is kind of like something y'all are taking on that happens to the minority, right? And like black men are like, no, we're telling you what it is, and she just can't hear it. Once again, the moral high ground, right? To accept that this is something that is happening to a significant number of black men, right? At least a small majority, a minority, excuse me, a small, excuse me, large minority. I don't know why I kept on saying small. Large minority, if not the majority of black men. What you then have to come to the realization of is this is a behavior that it doesn't matter your education or your income level or your class position as a black woman that you might be exhibiting. Exhibit A, Miss May. The mommying of black men, the I'm better than you, the listen to me, I demand it, is not, it's not exclusive to the underbelly of black womandom. Right? And excuse my background. I know I'm going in and out for a second. That will be fixed. Right? It's not exclusive to the underbelly of black womandom. We see this across the board from varying different backgrounds and different black women. This idea that, you know, we're morally superior to our black male counterparts. Right? And this is something that many black women exhibit. We see this across the board from your black women that are maybe not as articulate, barely together, all black women who are highly accomplished and educated, black women from the church, black women with religious backgrounds, secular black, educated black women, non-educated black women, black women on the East Coast, the West Coast, the South, the Northeast, the Northern Midwest. It doesn't matter. This is a common theme amongst black women. We are better than our male counterparts simply because we exist. Not do off of sacrifice, not do off of education, not do off of intelligence, not do off of hard work, not do off of contribution to the black community, not even do off of the fact that we birth children. None of it, just because we exist. Now, God forbid we are academically accomplished. God forbid we do have a bit of status. Oh, that's even more reason. It's not the reason, it's more of the reason. Right? So that's what Miss May was exhibiting to us. I still haven't watched the conversation with her and Ed yet, but between the conversation with May and Miss May and BGS and the conversation with her and Dr. Thunder, shout out to Hoodservative when he came on, right? Keep it 100. Yeah, she's just doubling down, tripling down. With the air of like, I don't know what you're talking about because like me and my circle are above this. I don't even know why I'm here. Didn't she say that? I don't even know why I'm here. Because it's bothering you that black men are talking. That's why. Black men are telling you something that you have a difficult time accepting. You know it's true, but you have a difficult time accepting. This is not exclusive to the air quotes underbelly or underworld of black women. Miss May, you exhibited some of that. And shout out to Dr. Thunder for calling her out, talking about penis size and penis and all of this other stuff with BGS. Those are examples right there of what we're speaking about. for a woman such as yourself who purports to come from a certain class of people to still exhibit the same behavior that you claim that you are better than and you don't know what we're talking about is our example of the fact that even the black women who are of a certain class, right, who clutch their invisible pearls every time we speak about this quote unquote underbelly and underworld, exhibit the same behavior that comes from that supposed underbelly and underworld. That's not just a black woman thing, right? The contempt for black men, the low level contempt for black men, the questioning everything a black man does, says, thinks, feels, right? As you've done, you exhibited that behavior in front of our very eyes, the behavior you claim to be better than, the behavior you relegated to the underclass and the underbelly, right? Right. And I will. And Gender Warlord said, can you put the link in the description later? I want to see it. Okay. Watch it soon because Dr. Thunder, after a while he puts his videos for Patreon, and shout out to Dr. Thunder. Great conversation as per usual. Dr. Thunder, once again, Dr. Thunder exhibiting his inner BGS and walking her down with the conversation also. And this is not just about intellectual jousting, right? So like when you guys hear me say this walking her down thing, this is not just about like, haha, we got you. Like, this is not just gotcha moments. It's important that we show that these ideas, these stereotypes, these negative ideas that these women have, when they actually have to be bumped up against what black men in the black manosphere are saying, this is the result. That's why it matters. Once again, this is not just about, haha, got you. No. Right? This is not that. And by the way, May is among the best of them. Right? Let me make sure I say that for everyone. May is among the best of them. The fact that you actually could get her to concede, even though it takes some work, and then she'll double back and try to prove the point again, even though she was just defeated. That's amongst the best. In May, you still don't have the same vitriol. I know Mr. Z. Mr. Z is making a distinction without a difference. I get it. I know everyone. I know. But the level of vitriol isn't exactly there the same way. Right? And that matters. Because this is amongst the best. Yo, you hear me? Right? And this is what it looks like. So, listening to May speak, to Dr. Thunder, listening to her speak to BGS, and seeing this rationale from this particular, maybe she said upper middle class. I'm thinking more middle class, but like trending towards upper middle class, that had a solid family structure, right? Is married herself, was or is an educator, right? And International Ronin says, and thank you for this comment, he says, in and out due to work. Z. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm about to end the stream in a couple minutes. are you going to do a show about South Carolina not forgiving student loans and doing away with affirmative action in universities throughout the U.S.? Actually, I mentioned the a little bit of the pretty much repeal of affirmative action earlier in the stream, but I do want to go into detail about it in another stream. So yes, I'm actually, and I'm probably going to do it in a panel discussion, because once again, we understand how much it hasn't benefited Black men in particular. We understand that we were supposed to be the original benefactors of it. To Mr. Z, that matters, but it's not all of what matters. What also matters is the sentiment behind the repeal, right? The sentiment behind the repeal. And then where do Black people, Black men go from here? Right? Now that these other groups have solidified for you their contempt for you, and maybe not all, but enough South and East Asians essentially told you, yeah, we're already competing against the white folks, and like, yeah, we're not really competing against you Black folks because most of us are already above you. But for the handful of you, even the Black immigrants that kind of slide through with affirmative action, yeah, we're gonna close that door. Because when we said compete, we didn't actually mean compete. We're just selling you on that. We don't want that much competition, right? And I want to actually talk about people that you saw the little bit of contempt on them and a bit of anti-Blackness, even though they kind of claim that it's not. They kind of couch it as not. I'm speaking about Thaddeus Russell. And you could see they've had issues with Black intellectuals and Black bourgeoisie, and like it left a sour taste in their mouth. And now their white supremacist fangs are starting to show just a little bit more and more. Every time we get into this type of conversation, the white supremacist fangs show a little bit more. For those of you that know who Thaddeus Russell is, white guy, taught Africana studies, was on Joe Rogan a few years ago. And now he has his own channel. What is it called? Unfiltered University? No. I can't remember. Oh my God, I just checked it out again a couple days ago. Oh man, I forgot what the name of his channel is called. Right? But yeah. Right. So, and we're gonna get into some conversation about the elite top 20% wanting, and that speaks to what I was saying about dream hoarders, right? Richard Reeves' book Before of Boys and Men. It's not just the 1%, everybody. It's the top 20% trying to. They're really trying to make that gap between the top 20 and the bottom 80. They're turning that gap more and more into a chasm, right? The Grand Canyon. You know. So on that note, everybody, I just wanted to come in with a quick little afternoon mishmash. We'll get into some more details, and we'll get into it, right? We'll get into it a little bit later. But yeah, yeah, between Miss May and the repeal of affirmative action, there's a whole lot to talk about, right? And the class of Black women that Miss May represents, which is not exactly the Ebony K. Williams and the Kim Foster level, right? More probably the Ostefco level, right? But you still see that low level of contempt. You still see that mommying. You still see that doubt of Black men's experiences, right? I see a couple of y'all getting in here, DeVito and Better You. Catch me on the other side. Catch me outside. Catch me on those. I'm going to end the stream. But I should be back either later on tonight. I'm gonna try to get a stream in before Art and New Style streams. So yeah, everyone, catch the replay. So let's do our outro. Love, peace, and chicken grease. I'm gonna pause right here. Yeah, go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content, for the love of God, so y'all don't sound like Miss May, right? And yeah, and shout out to Dr. Thunder for that conversation. Shout out to Dr. Thunder for calling her out about like essentially her saying like BGS, and she didn't say it directly, but she kind of did. BGS being the only one to really present facts in this space. Wow. Check Mr. Z's community tab. I'm just saying, right? Right. So yeah, and the fact that all she sees is black men ranting and da 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 and complaining, and I'm like, yeah. And the problem with that is what? Right. And the problem, I don't know where people get this. Black men got to just eat all the disrespect, the insults from women, and don't complain. Like a real man is stoic and holds in all that stress and then let it eat him alive, and then he's out of here by 60 and 65, and then we could live off of his life insurance and say how great granddad was. Nope. Granddad is out of here by 60, 65, and we're half the reason we drove him to an early grave, because we demanded that he just eats the stress and don't complain. And then after his death, we'll speak about how great he was, even though his own children, low key, still have contempt for him. But you know, that's neither here nor there. Actually, it's a whole lot of there. And we'll truly pause right here, y'all. We'll truly pause right here. Y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Once again, check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content, and Mr. Z out. All right, everyone.